Imagine this: you wake up in the morning, swing your legs over the edge of the bed, try to stand up, and that familiar stab of knee pain greets you before your day even begins. It's annoying, it's limiting, and it's something millions of people just accept as normal. But what if I told you that in the next few minutes, you're going to learn a simple, science-backed routine that can ease knee pain dramatically in as little as 5 minutes a day? Stick with me, because what you're about to hear might become the moment your knees finally feel like yours again. Most people don't realize this, but knee pain usually isn't about the knees themselves. It's about the muscles, the tension, the alignment, and the tiny daily habits that slowly overload the joint. Think of your knee as the innocent middle child, caught between the hip and the ankle. If the muscles above or below tighten, weaken, or shift even slightly, the knee ends up doing all the hard work. And over time, that imbalance turns into pain. So today, you're going to reset that entire chain using simple, gentle movements designed to switch off pain signals, reduce stiffness, and strengthen the support system around your knee. Before we begin the 5-minute fix, let's quickly understand why this method works. Your knee joint relies on 4 key systems: mobility, stability, blood flow, and alignment. If even one of those is missing, the joint becomes irritated. But the amazing thing about the body is that it always listens. When you move it the right way, with the right patterns, your brain eases the tension, increases lubrication inside the joint, and improves the way your knee glides. This isn't magic. This is neuroscience and biomechanics working together, and you're about to feel it happen. Start by sitting comfortably on the edge of a chair. Let your feet rest flat on the floor and take a slow breath in. Now, slowly extend one leg forward and gently pull your toes towards your shin. This simple movement activates a nerve behind the knee called the sciatic nerve and helps wake up the hamstring, calf, and lower back, all of which directly influence knee pain. Hold that stretch for 2 slow breaths, then switch sides. You might already feel a little warmth in your knee, and that's good. It means circulation is waking up. Next, place your hands just above your kneecap, and with very light pressure, start making small circles over the tendons and the soft tissue. This boosts synovial fluid, the natural lubrication inside the joint. Synovial fluid is like oil for your hinges, and when the knee has more of it, movement becomes smoother, softer, and less painful. If you feel a tender spot, stay there for a few seconds and breathe deeply. You're not hurting the joint, you're calming it. Now we'll move into one of the most important exercises for knee relief: quad activation. Straighten one leg again, but this time tighten the muscles along the front of your thigh. Feel the kneecap lift slightly. That's your quadriceps engaging. Hold that contraction for 5 seconds, then release. Do this 5 times on each side. Research shows that strong, active quads reduce pressure on the knee joint by helping absorb force with every step you take. Think of it as adding natural shock absorbers, your body's version of suspension. Now let's switch to the muscles behind the knee. Press your heel into the ground like you're trying to leave a footprint in the floor. This activates the hamstring, which works with the quads to stabilize the knee. When these 2 muscles are balanced, knee pain often drops dramatically. Hold, breathe, release. 5 repetitions. You're doing more for your knees in this moment than most people do in months. Now stand up slowly, holding onto something if you need support. Shift your weight gently from one leg to the other. If you feel wobbly, don't worry. That's actually a sign your stabilizing muscles are waking up. These are the tiny muscles around your hips, thighs, and ankles that keep your knees aligned when you walk. When they're weak, your knees collapse inward. When they're strong, your knees glide like they're meant to. Next comes one of the most effective knee-saving moves ever discovered: the calf stretch. Stand facing a wall, place one foot behind you, keep your heel down, and let the stretch travel up your calf. A tight calf pulls on the back of the knee and changes your walking mechanics, causing pain over time. Just 30 seconds here can reset that entire chain. Now we'll move into a hip flexor stretch. Take a small step forward, bend your front knee, and gently push your hips forward. You're not forcing anything, just letting the front of your hip open. When hip flexors are tight, your pelvis tilts, your thigh bone rotates, and yes, the knee pays the price. Loosening this one muscle can instantly make your knee feel lighter. You're almost done, and the last step may be the most comforting. Sit back down. Place your hands behind your knee and gently rock your leg back and forth. This motion is called joint flossing, and it helps your knee glide smoothly, reduces stiffness, and signals the brain that the joint is safe. Pain often comes from the brain thinking something is wrong. These movements tell it the opposite. If you've followed along, you've already completed the 5-minute fix. But here's the real secret: doing this once won't transform your knees. Doing it daily, even just 5 minutes, can create real, measurable change. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't brush once and expect perfect teeth forever. You do a little every day, and the results follow naturally. That's how these exercises work. Imagine a month from now. You wake up, stand up, walk across the room, and your knees feel smoother, lighter, more stable. Not tight, not cracking, not aching, just normal. Imagine climbing stairs without grabbing the railing. Imagine walking longer without needing to stop. Imagine kneeling, squatting, sitting cross-legged without that familiar hesitation. That vision is more real than you think, and it starts with tiny steps repeated consistently. And as you continue this routine, something else begins to happen. Your posture improves, your hips become stronger, your balance becomes more natural, and your brain starts rewiring how it interprets pain. This is why people who follow simple daily routines like this often report not only less knee pain, but fewer aches throughout their entire lower body. Your knees don't need perfection. They need attention. They need movement. They need warmth, blood flow, and gentle activation. And the more you give them, the more they give back. And the more you give them, the more they give back. One of the beautiful things about the human body is its ability to adapt. Joints stiffen when we stop using them, but they also loosen when we start moving them again. Muscles weaken when we ignore them, but they strengthen when we give them even a few seconds of focused activation each day. The knee is no different. It listens to everything you do. Every step, every movement, every habit sends a message. And by doing this short routine daily, you're sending a powerful message that says, it's time to heal. It's time to move better. As this routine becomes part of your day, you'll also become more aware of the little things that trigger knee discomfort. Maybe it's the way you sit with your legs tucked underneath you. Maybe it's standing with your weight leaning on one side. Maybe it's climbing stairs too quickly or walking with your toes slightly turned out. These are tiny details, but once you start noticing them, you'll feel how small adjustments can completely change the way your knee feels. Awareness alone becomes therapy. You start catching yourself sitting taller, stepping softer, standing with better alignment, and all of these micro corrections relieve pressure from the joint. One thing that surprises many people is how much knee pain comes from tight hips. When the hips lose mobility, the knee is forced to compensate. Think of the knee as a hinge. It only bends and straightens. But the hip, it rotates, it shifts, it stabilizes. When that hip rotation is limited, your knee twists slightly with each step, and that repeated twist creates inflammation, soreness, and wear over time. But by loosening the hips through simple stretches, the very ones you just did, you create space for your thigh bone to move freely, instantly reducing pressure on the knee. For some people, this alone is life-changing. And as blood flow increases, something else starts happening behind the scenes. The cartilage in your knee, which doesn't have its own blood supply, begins absorbing nutrients more efficiently through movement. This is why gentle motion is far more effective for long-term knee health than rest. Rest is only useful for acute injury. But most chronic knee pain isn't from injury, it's from imbalance. So when you move, you actually feed the joint. You nourish it. You keep it alive and functional. It's like watering a plant that has been dry for too long and watching it slowly regain its strength. Now picture yourself rising from a chair with no hesitation. Picture yourself walking up a slope without feeling that familiar burn. Picture bending down to tie your shoes without bracing yourself or avoiding the movement. These small victories add up, and soon you start trusting your knees again. And that trust matters. Because when you stop fearing movement, your muscles relax, your gait normalizes, and your body stops guarding the joint. Pain often persists because the body is protecting itself. When the body feels safe, it lets go. You'll also notice that as the muscles around your knee grow stronger, everyday tasks start feeling easier. Standing for longer periods, carrying groceries, walking through the market, everything feels less tiring. That's because the stronger the muscles around the knee, the less the knee joint itself is forced to absorb impact. Your quads, hamstrings, calves, and glutes all work together like a team. When one player is weak, the knee picks up the slack. But when the whole team is strong, the knee finally gets to relax. And remember, strength doesn't require heavy weights or long workouts. Your body responds incredibly well to small, controlled, consistent movements. 5 minutes a day is enough to gently wake up the muscles that support the knee. Over time, they become more responsive, more coordinated, and more reliable. This is how athletes protect their joints. Not by doing big dramatic exercises, but by mastering the basics and doing them daily. You might even start noticing improvements in parts of your body you didn't expect. Your lower back may feel looser because your hamstrings and hip flexors are no longer tugging on your pelvis. Your ankles may feel more stable because your calves are more flexible and aligned. Your balance may improve because your glutes are finally activating properly. Everything in the body is connected, and when the knee starts functioning better, the entire chain above and below it begins to shift toward a healthier pattern. And as you continue this 5-minute routine, your confidence grows. Maybe you walk a little farther each day. Maybe you try a gentle squat again. Maybe you take longer strides or climb stairs without thinking twice. Progress doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be steady. And the steadiness comes from you showing up for your knees every day. When people say knee pain is just part of aging, they're wrong. What they're really experiencing is the result of years of muscle imbalance and lack of mobility, not age. Because plenty of people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s move pain-free simply because they stay consistent with routines like this one. Your knees are far more resilient than you've been told. They just need the right environment to thrive. Your knees are far more resilient than you've been told. They just need the right environment to thrive. And as you build that environment day by day, a transformation begins, not only in how your knees feel, but in how you move, how you stand, and how confidently you use your body. Pain stops being something that controls your choices. It becomes something you understand, something you can influence, something you finally have power over. You'll notice that every time you finish this routine, your knees feel a little warmer, a little lighter. That warmth is blood flow, life, energy, nourishment. Joints love warmth, muscles love warmth. It signals them to relax, to soften, to release their grip. And when the tissues around your knee loosen, the joint glides more smoothly. That's why this routine works so quickly. You're combining mobility, activation, and blood flow all at once. It's like giving your knees a mini spa treatment every day. But there's something even more important happening. Your brain is learning. This is the part most people never hear about. Pain isn't just physical, it's also neurological. When a joint has been irritated for a long time, the brain becomes extra sensitive. It starts interpreting normal movement as danger. Every step feels louder, sharper, more alarming. But when you gently mobilize and strengthen the knee, you retrain the brain. You show it that movement is safe again. And once the brain stops overreacting, pain naturally decreases. That's why slow, controlled movement is far more effective than forcing yourself through discomfort. And here's something fascinating. The more often you do these movements, the longer the relief lasts. At first, you might feel better for a few minutes or hours. But as the days pass, the improvement lingers. The muscles start to hold the activation. The tendons stay more relaxed. The joint stays more lubricated. And eventually, the baseline level of pain drops. This is your body adapting in real time. You're literally teaching it a new pattern. You may also find that you become more mindful of how you use your knees throughout the day. You stop locking your knees while standing. You bend your legs a little more when lifting something. You walk with smoother steps. You turn your feet forward naturally. These tiny adjustments protect your knees without you even realizing it. And many people discover that things they used to avoid, like sitting on the floor, taking long walks, or climbing stairs, suddenly feel possible again. Let's imagine something for a moment. Picture waking up tomorrow morning and standing up without bracing yourself. Picture walking to the kitchen and feeling stable, grounded, and in control. Picture taking your first few steps of the day and thinking, wow, my knees feel good today. That's a powerful feeling, and it's absolutely within reach. 5 minutes a day might sound too simple, but simplicity is exactly what makes it sustainable. When something is easy, you actually stick with it, and the body responds best to what you do consistently, not occasionally. You'll also find that this routine helps prevent future injuries. Most knee injuries happen because the surrounding muscles weren't ready to support sudden movement. But when your hips, quads, hamstrings, and calves work together in harmony, your knee becomes far more resilient. It handles pressure better. It absorbs shock better. It recovers faster. You essentially bulletproof the joint through gentle, daily preparation. With time, you may even begin to enjoy the routine. It becomes a moment of calm, a short break where you reconnect with your body, release tension, and reset your alignment. Many people say these 5 minutes feel like a pause in the middle of an otherwise stressful day. And that mental benefit is just as important as the physical one. Stress tightens muscles, relaxation loosens them. When your mind relaxes, your body follows. And as you feel your knees improving, something else shifts. You start believing in your body again. You start trusting that healing is possible. You start taking a little more ownership of your health. This routine becomes more than a fix. It becomes a foundation, a gentle reminder that even small actions can create big change. Your knees carry you through your entire life. Every step, every climb, every descent. They deserve a little care, a little attention, a little daily maintenance. And the fact that you're here, listening, learning, taking action, that alone puts you ahead of 99% of people who simply accept pain as permanent. And now that you've learned this simple daily routine, remember this: real change doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from showing up for yourself, even in small ways, every single day. 5 minutes might feel tiny, but over weeks and months, those minutes become strength, mobility, and confidence. They become mornings without stiffness, steps without hesitation, and days where you move with ease instead of guarding every motion. Your knees are not fragile. They're capable, adaptable, and ready to respond to the care you give them. So make this routine your daily reset, your moment to reconnect with your body, release tension, and keep your joints healthy. You don't need expensive equipment, long workouts, or complicated exercises. You just need these 5 minutes and the willingness to stay consistent. If you stick with it, your knees won't just feel better, they'll feel renewed. And every step you take will remind you that healing isn't always about big changes. Sometimes it's about the smallest habits done with intention. Take care of your knees, and they'll take care of you.